Welcome back here to Long Beach, California, here at Lakewood Ice, where it's Game 3 of the opening weekend for the Long Beach Shredders taking on the Bakersfield Roughnecks. And for both games, it was a one-goal affair and a tight goal affair. How did this one go for both these teams?
Well, I think we got a chance to see how each team performed under pressure. We had the reverse role of a 2-goal lead. The first night it was the Shredders who were able to get off to a quick 2-goal lead. And they had that lead taken right back, and they ended up losing the first game in overtime. And in last night's performance, we saw the Roughnecks come out really with some tendency to play physical, and they ended up taking the first 2-goal lead of the game, and they ended up taking it and not looking back. And so that's why they were victorious in taking the first 2 games of this weekend series.
One of the keys that we were talking about before the game, partner, was the special teams. Not too good on the power play for the Shredders, excellent on the penalty kill for the Bakersfield Roughnecks, but last night, scripts were kind of flipped, where it was the Bakersfield Roughnecks who really had to go at the power play, and the Shredders just couldn't stop them.
Yeah, the Roughnecks really got a good chance to dissect the Shredders' penalty kill. They got to see some weaknesses in their defensive efforts, and they were able to capitalize on it multiple times. And so in tonight's game, you got to look for the Long Beach Shredders to kind of take that game and give it right back to Bakersfield. Long Beach Shredders have got to find a way to convert on more than 1 or 2 power play goals, especially when you're getting 5 or 6 opportunities a night. Just one conversion out of those 6 chances isn't going to cut it.
And one thing we saw last night was an early goaltending change. Heath Goldsmith out. It was Nate Baxter coming in. And the one thing that I noticed was, and you noticed as well, you're the one that brought this up to me, that he really played with a little fire, where it's just they got the kick in the pants that they really needed to get back in the gear. Do you think that's going to continue tonight with Baxter on the back-to-back?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why head coach Emerson Edom decided to ride with Jacob Baxter, who came in relief after Heath Goldsmith was pulled after only 1 period. So that can certainly have a lot to do with the way that the team comes out after a goalie is pulled. You don't like seeing one of your friends being removed from a game. It's kind of like having your friend lose a job. So you partially feel responsible as a player having your goaltender be pulled. So that certainly had a kick in the rear end for the Shredders last night. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for them to get in the win category, but let's see if they can continue to ride off of the performance of Jacob Baxter, who's going to be getting the start here tonight.
And one last thing that I mostly noticed, especially in the defensive zone for the Long Beach Shredders, they seem to give away the puck a lot. And it almost made that game almost unbearable, or out of reach, I should say. But luckily for them, both Baxter and Goldsmith were kind of on their A game, keeping those deflections and turnovers at bay. What's something they can do to help mitigate that?
Well, I think the Shredders have got to come out with a strict goal in mind to try to get themselves into shot lanes and kind of minimize those scoring chances that Bakersfield was able to get off of some of those turnovers in the neutral zone. So if you're the Long Beach Shredders tonight, you know that last night there were plenty of turnovers and scoring chances that were caused based off of failed breakout attempts. So I think the Shredders got to be a lot smarter in their own defensive zone, try to make shorter breakout passes and just make the simple play. And I think last night we saw a couple of drop pass attempts that weren't end up really working out for them. So interesting to see whether or not they're going to be going with the same game plan tonight. But I'm looking for a more tightly contested game here for the Shredders and the Roughnecks as well.
And one last thing, it's passing. These guys haven't really had the crispest passing, and especially if they're trying to outbreak themselves going from one zone to the other. Those stretch passes seem to not be working. I say to you again, do you think it's time to kind of reinvent it and try to work around your shoddy passing?
Well, I think it's too early to tell whether or not it's time to cut that out of the game plan or not. Like we talked about in the past 2 games, Brian, this is still a bit of a feeling out process for both teams. It's the first weekend series for either squad to get a chance to know each other. So I think both teams are kind of giving their blueprints of the game plan for what they want to do for the rest of the year, if I'm being quite honest with you. So I don't think we're at a position where each team needs to consider throwing out their game plans just quite yet. I think we need to get a little more deeper into the season and determine how, and let the winning and losing records determine whether or not the game plan needs to be thrown out or not.
Well, first period about to start here in game number 3 against the Bakersfield Roughnecks and the Long Beach Shredders. 2 minutes on the clock before puck drop. We hope to see you then right after this.
Carter Zawarty taking the opening face-off. Go ahead and take us through play-by-play. The esteemed Mr. Brian Flores.
Esteemed, I love it, partner. Getting in the lexicon, as the Monsters try to take this one away in Shredder's territory. Coming up with is Zawartney, trying to pitch it across now the blue line to Stolov into Monsters territory. Stolov now pinning him across to the end boards of the Monsters zone. And the newcomer, Nieto, giving it back to Stolov. Stolov pitching it to Zawartney at the far boards. Zawartney trying to give it back to Stolov. Stolov back in through the legs, not able to connect, and now back the other way come the Monsters. Trying to find an outlet pass there to number 22 of the Monsters. I believe that was Braden Wilson. Not able to connect, though. And now the Monsters with clear energy back in their own zone, trying to regroup a rush here. And speaking of energy, partner, these Shredders really coming out strong here to start the first.
Coming out with a really first shift, and guess who? It's guys like Yuri Stolov getting in on the forecheck and trying to get everything to the net to get off to a quick start.
And back the other way come the Fresno Monsters into the Shredders territory, giving it a shot. They score! From the left circle to the right. Trying to see a number here as they skate back to the benches. Number 92, Christopher Meraldo, scoring his 43rd goal of the campaign. Crazy to even say. And now it is a quick 1-0 lead here for the Monsters.
Very stark contrast to what we saw in last night's game. Peterson was able to get off to a great start and stop the game's first 13 shots on goal. And a really quick rush going up the ice. And the Fresno Monsters get a 2-on-1. And that really quick one-timer shot was just underneath the pad of Peterson. So very quickly here, Fresno out to a quick 1-0 lead with 18:40 left here in the first period.
Monsters trying to control here in the Shredder's zone to the left circle, a shot, and it's steered away by Peterson on the pad. And a rebound will find its way out to the near corner of the Shredder's zone, dumped out into center ice, taken away by the Monsters, and they'll just elect to play this back in their own zone where Coldwater will regret it. Coldwater not able to corral it, and now it's Manchevsky, a shot, and then it's suckered away by Pac-Man. And back the other way come the Monsters. Peterson out to the slot, and a shot just going high and wide. And a rebound will find its way out to the far boards, giving it across to Mason White. White now through center ice, dumping it down deep into Monsters territory. Now the Fresno Monsters with control, trying to guide it up ice, but that gets taken away. And cleared all the way off. No icing, though. Touched before it went to the red line by the Monsters. And back of the way come the Shredders. Stolov giving it to Zawartney. Backhand dangle. Trying to enter the zone. Stringing it along the blue line. Now into the far side of the Monsters zone. He has it now. Dumping it down into the far boards where it's picked up by Nieto. Nieto, backhand pass, looking for Zawartney at the end boards. Zawartney out to the left circle at a shot, and that gets blocked. And a rebound finds its way into the legs of one of the Monsters' defenders. That was number 23 of the Fresno Monsters, Marcelo Garcia. And that one will go all the way back into the Monsters' zone as after the Shredders along to just dump and change here. And back of the way come the Monsters, clearing it all the way back in, but going off for an offsides. Or excuse me, not offsides, icing as Jacob Gagnon threw it, trying a two-lane pass there, but just beat out the defender. 17:05 left to go here in period number 1. Your score, a quick 1-0 lead here for the Fresno Monsters. Shots on goal, 2-1 in favor of Fresno. And off the draw, an offensive side for the Shredders. Okansky with a shot going off a couple of bodies, and now the Monsters, high horse, back the other way through center ice, dumping it all the way back into Shredders territory. Will hop over the boards into the glove of Peterson, and he'll elect to play it back to Colbert. He'll leave it off, and now Okansky coming back into the Monsters zone with a full head of steam. Shot! Hits the outside of the post, and a rebound will find its way out to the near boards. Okansky still with it. Skating hard, trying to keep it in the zone. That just gets swatted out by number 7 of the Monsters, Cam Gillen. Now Gillen trying to come up with it, giving it across, and now Halave. Halave giving it across, finding Huffman into Shredder's territory. He'll wing this one around the boards, and it's played off by Gillen. Gillen back to Huffman. Huffman gets taken away by Nijar, and Nijar giving it across, and now that's cleared out through the blue line into center ice. And the Monsters trying to get back on sides. And here we go with the Monsters back into Shredder's territory, and a shot will be flicked into the glove of Mr. Aiden Patterson. Tried to play it initially, but a little quick whistle there by Aiden Patterson, or the referee rather, with 16:02 left to go in the first.
Yeah, and so for Patterson right now, we talked about how he had 54 saves in last night's contest, Brian. Right now it's just about making sure that you can make that next save, making sure that you can control rebounds and put them into the areas of the ice where you have your forwards going in to collect the puck and get a clean breakout going up the ice the other way. And so personnel changes being made on either side. Looks like Nate Compton will be stepping in to take this draw for the Shredders, and up against number 55 for Fresno, mystery Zach Clark, who had a couple of goals in last night's contest.
And now in the Shredders zone, off the draw, 16:02 left to go. Colbert trying to bid for possession at center ice. That gets taken away by the Monsters. Moraldo trying to stretch pass, and that gets taken away. Compton with it in the Shredder zone, trying to pass it up to Josh Cattell. Or excuse me, that was Matt Nieto. Nieto now has it. Down into the corner, through the end boards, finds Colbert. Colbert gets it taken away. And through center ice, that gets taken away by the Shredders, trying to keep it in the Monster zone, not able to. And now at center ice, it's Miro Harvinen. And he'll elect to dump that one all the way back in. A little dump and chase here for the Shredders, taken away by the Monsters. They now possess it in their own zone. And here we go with the Monsters, back the other way. Number 22, Braden Wilson. Wilson has it at the slot, trying to give it a backhand to Clark, but that gets taken away. Roughhoused there by the Shredders, and now they have it now into the lower corner of the Shredders zone. Monsters do, trying to bid for possession here, giving it out to Coldwater at the blue line. Coldwater out, and a shot from high slot gets taken away, and a sprawling shot attempt by number 19, Kobe Lennox. Not able to find a clean shot. And now Nate Compton has it. Compton looking for Colbert. Colbert, backhand pass, looking to Mason White. White not able to corral it. And all the Monsters with it in their own zone. Far boards on the Monsters' side. Now to the end boards. And they're looking to generate another rush as he holds it at the left circle. And now finally back the other way come the Monsters. And they'll dump it all the way back into the Shredders zone, where the Shredders will try to touch up here. Okansky leaves it off for Seuss. Seuss has it and giddies up. Shredders going from right to left offensively. That gets taken away at the blue line. Taken away back by Zeus, and a shot gets saved, and a rebound held in at the blue line. Another shot going high and wide. He'll find a stick of Okansky at the blue line. Chipped in, held in, trying to find it is Mason White. White at the far boards. Has it at his skates. Holding it in, trying to guide it down in front, but that gets taken away by the Monsters sharply in their own slot. And back the other way come the Monsters. Giving it across now to the right circle of the Shredders zone. Poke checked away by Mazza. Mazza now has it at the far boards of the Shredders zone, trying to clear. He'll give it across now to Mantovetsky, and a blue-to-blue pass taken away. Back the other way come the Shredders on a clear cut. Well, not really clear cut. I meant to say just challenged breakaway. As a two-line pass there, trying to find 18 back the other way for the Monsters. Getting it across, now into the right circle. A shot saved by Patterson! And he makes an excellent save here early with 13:15 left to go here in the first period. That would have made it 2-0, so a big save here from the Shredders netminder.
And a really good job by Patterson to not overcommit on the play. I think Jacob Gagnon for the Fresno Monsters was trying to kind of motion towards the backhand to get the goaltender to drop down low. And a good job by Patterson to maintain that really tall chest and upper body position. Holds on for a face-off to his left-hand side with 13:10 left here in the opening frame.
And all the Monsters off the draw with possession in the Shredder zone. Have it at the blue line, and a shot tipped on net, but a good save by Patterson. Far corner, Monsters still retain possession. Twisting and turning, they'll give it across to the end boards. Now back to the left circle. That gets taken away by the Shredder stick. And now they'll giddy up back the other way. Shredder's giving it across to Stalev. Stalev now has it in the Monsters zone. Quickly taken away by number 92, Christopher Moraldo. Scoring the first goal here today. As Zawartney not able to corral it. Now a 2-on-1 back the other way for the Monsters. Moraldo, he pitches it across to Peterson. Peterson back to Moraldo. Saved by Patterson! Going from right to left. Making the excellent sprawling save. And now to the left circle. Monsters trying to corral it. That gets taken away by Zawartny at the end boards. Zawartny gets a poke checked away, and Peterson tried to find it, cleared off by number 26, Maza. Stoliv now has it at the near boards of the Shredder zone, gets stood up there at the blue line. Moraldo pitching it across ice. You hear the air horns here early. Far boards, giving it across now to the end boards. And now Keller gets it taken away by 47 Zawartny. Zawartny gets turned into a big hit, and I believe they're going to call this one interference on the Monsters.
Yeah, interference.
Interference on the Monsters, and I think it was the number 7, Cam Gillen, had a little bit of a disagreement there, though I don't think he has much of an argument.
Yeah, well, you can make a hip check along the boards as a defenseman. When you close the gap as a defenseman, typically that type of hip check is made along the boards, and so you don't really end up taking out the legs of the other player in open ice. And so Cam Gillen electing to just go down low on Carter Zawartny. And it's going to cost him, though, as the Shredders are on the power play for the first time here tonight. Not really much success as of late, but you'd have to think that with some of these new additions from the California Wave AAA program and just that extended time off in the offseason, plenty of time for the guys to recuperate and re-strategize here. So let's see what they can do.
Shredders winning the draw in the Monsters zone, fresh on the power play. Giving it out to the blue line, back to Okanski near side, back to the Maz at the point. Across to the right circle. Back to Zawartny at the end boards. Across now to Compton, far boards. Now back to Okanski, left side, and a shot and a save and a rebound will be ready for it. Gobbled up.
There we go.
By Pac-Man.
There it is. First one. If I had a clicker, I'd just be going click, 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 click.
It's like they're trying to communicate with the air horns here. We have one on the left side now.
We got to figure out like a coding system that they're using.
Although I have to say, I think I kind of calibrated our audio a little bit better because I don't hear it as much.
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good.
Nice.
It's really a testament to your ability, sir.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch my setup at all, guys. Like my ears were ringing last night.
That's the way she goes, boys.
That's the way she goes, boys. And off the draw, the Monsters take it away and clear it with 1:33 left to go on the power play for the Shredders, and they'll have to regroup at their own end boards again with 11:17 left to go here in period number 1. Back of the way, Shredders going from right to left offensively. Nieto at the far boards of the Monsters zone. Giving it across to Zawartny. Zawartny trying to look up high to Yuri Stoliv, but that gets taken away, and the Monsters will clear all the way back down into the Shredders zone.
Yeah, it looked like that pass kind of caught Stoliv off guard. I don't think he was expecting that up to go to his tape as quickly as it did. Still 1 minute left here in this man advantage for Long Beach.
And now the Shredders coming back into the far boards, gets taken away by the Monsters, and now back the other way comes Fresno. Fresno, Love. He'll pitch this one back out to his captain, Gagnon. Gagnon trying to clear it, and that one will be played by a high stick. So, going to face off inside of the Shredders zone with 42 seconds left. Well, outside of the Shredders zone now, they move it. 42 seconds left to go in the power play here in the 2-minute minor to Gillen.
Long Beach would like to see that level of energy that we just saw carry through intermission and onto the third period. I think it's safe to say that the Shredders tend to perform better at home when there's a bit of commotion going on, when the game is moving back and forth, when it gets a little chippy. I hate to say it, partner. I think that's when the Shredders game really starts to shine most. That's when you start to see the other team kind of get detached from their main goal and their main strategy of the game. 5-2 is your score after 2 periods. Long Beach certainly has their work cut out for them going into.
Welcome back here to Lakewood Ice here in Long Beach, California, where the Shredders are now down by a score of 2-0, much like last night, to the San Diego Sabres. The first thing I want to touch on here in this intermission, goaltending. Goaltending has been paramount for both of these guys. The Sabres have had ample chances in the offensive zone for the Shredders, and the Shredders in the Sabres defensive zone has had ample chances. Both goaltenders seem to be standing on their head. What do you feel?
Yeah, I think when you look at the shot category for each team, the San Diego Sabres lead the shots over the over the Shredders by a score of 17-10. So that can kind of lead the viewer to assume that, the San Diego Sabres are coming out and firing way more shots on goal. on the other side, I think Long Beach is definitely firing everything they can towards the net when they can. I think they're just being, a lot more of their shots are being blocked. And so those shots that do end up making their way towards the goalie, they're ever more important. So I think goaltending has definitely been a prominent factor in tonight's game, and it's gonna have to continue to be a factor if the Shredders want to come out and get 2 points tonight.
I'm here for it.
Absolutely. There you go. The assistant head coach, Taylor. Any questions for?
Well, Ferdy, just coming from Lakewood High School, that was actually my alma mater back in 2016.
Okay.
The best class of all time. I am not gonna lie, but I just want to mention that new field at Lakewood High School. It looks incredible. I actually live pretty close to it, so I do get to see it on a regular basis. I'm a little curious. Were you with some of these players once that new field was implemented, when the field and the environment that the players are in gets totally revamped?
Head coach, Taylor. Any questions for?
Well, Ferdy, just coming from Lakewood High School, that was actually my alma mater back in 2016.
Okay.
The best class of all time. I am not gonna lie, but I just want to mention that new field at Lakewood High School. It looks incredible. I actually live pretty close to it, so I do get to see it on a regular basis. I'm a little curious. Were you with some of these players once that new field was implemented, when the field and the environment that the players are in gets totally revamped like that? Can that have a big impact on the team performing well that season, knowing that they have all this new fresh money coming in to fund the team like that?
Yeah, so last year when we got there, the field was under construction. We had to play at LBCC all our games. And so we waited a whole season for the field to be done. So this year, I think it means more. Protect home turf is something we always go by. You want to protect home turf. This is our field. So I think the players, they understand that. And we've only lost one game at home. So I think they understand to protect the home turf. And tonight, we got to protect the home ice.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Some parallels on both ends. That's what I like to see.
There you go.
And we're going to get back to that in about a minute here. I guess, a question for you, Coach Fern. If you were the coach down there for these Long Beach boys, what would you be doing?
Hey, not going to lie. We had the same thing yesterday. We were down 10-7 at half. We just told them there's a lot of football to be played. In this case, a lot of hockey to be played. You just got to keep going. Hey, one play at a time. And once the game's over, if you give it your all, you'll like the outcome.
Coach Fern from the sideline to the center ice here at Lakewood Ice. Getting back to it here, 2-0 for Ontario. Game resumes in a little bit. Stay with us. The Shredders, how big of a monkey off the back is this?
Well, it's huge, and I think it comes off of a performance that they built off of last night in the victorious effort over these same Lakers. And so for the Shredders to come out in back-to-back nights in the last 3 games of the first half of the season, where the home fans aren't going to get a chance to see the Shredders until the middle of January. So a huge monkey to get off of the bag for Long Beach here as they go into the Thanksgiving weekend break here.
And I don't think I can understate this or overstate this. Shots matter. And in this series in particular, the Shredders were not woefully outshot. They were very dominant on the offensive side of the puck. And I think it really showed in these latter half 2 games. The first game you can say was kind of like I don't want to say a fluke, because that's discrediting a lot of the Lake Tahoe Laker guys, but it was more of the Shredders were playing within their own heads, not letting the play happen naturally.
Right.
So coming into this game specifically, do you think that they kind of worked out their inner demons and just played to their best ability?
I think so. I think that's why you saw Emerson being a lot more confident in utilizing guys up and down the lineup. We saw Dylan Scher get his first point of the year on an assist in the second period earlier today. So when you can get those kinds of contributions up and down the lineup and really allow the offense to just work by itself, 71 shots on goal. And so that's a really good sign for Emerson as his team's getting ready to go into the break here, where you can start to have your top 3 and 4 full lines really moving and playing well together. And so I think that high potent offense is what Emerson needs to start seeing going often a lot more as they go into the back half of the season here.
And kind of ending off talking about goaltending, how
How tired do you think these two goaltenders, Walgren and Heath Goldsmith, are?
They definitely deserve some stakes by their own respective teams. They have earned it, to say the least. And so for the two goaltenders that we saw in back-to-back performances with Heath Goldsmith and Walgren, an outstanding effort by those two young men to go through these three battles all weekend long. They stood tall for their teams. They stood on their heads, really. It's no easy task to stand in there for 3 straight games in a row. And so that just shows you the level of confidence that each group has with those guys in between the pipes. And so that's a large part of why I think Long Beach was victorious tonight. And so I think Walgren is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge next time these two teams meet.
Absolutely. And who, throughout this series, who is your top 3 players for each team?
Well, I got to give it to Gabe Gifford for the Long Beach Shredders, the MVP of the Shredders in last night's game. And surely he gets back to where he left off in last night's game, comes out and scores the first goal on a breakaway chance and early in the first period, less than 2 full minutes in. And so I think that's what really helped kickstart the Shredders offense tonight, was that big goal by Gabe Gifford. So that's got to be my most valuable player for the Shredders. And then 2 and 3 have got to be guys like Zawortny and Stalev. Stalev didn't play in last night's game, and so for him to come out in tonight and play with some of that feistiness that I think the Shredders were missing last night, and I think that's why last night's game was a lot closer than tonight's game, at least on paper anyway. And then on the other side, I've got to give the first star to Christopher Walgren, because like you said, partner, 3 straight games is no easy task to be given. And so for him to accept that task with open arms and really play on top of his head, you can see that he was playing with some feistiness out there too. He's pushing and shoving whenever there's a play developing in front of him. He didn't like having guys hanging around in front of the crease while trying to look through screens. And so that makes the job for screeners a lot more difficult when you have a goaltender behind you hacking and whacking at you alongside a defenseman trying to push you out of the way. So I like some of the feistiness from Walgren. That's why I put him up at the number 1 spot for them. And then 2 and 3 have got to be guys like Ari Rossi and Aiden Dempsey. Those two kids were incredible to watch, and brought it up earlier about how Dempsey had 4 goals in the first game of this series, and that's really what helped Lake Tahoe propel them to that first victory of the series. And then Dempsey held goalless in this game tonight. I think that's a huge part why Long Beach grabs the 2 points. I think they saw the score sheet and they utilized, hey, most of their offense is from these 2 guys, and if they cut off that lifeline, that's the majority of their offense. And so I think the Shredders did a fantastic job at picking out their matchups and knowing who they needed to cover the most.